dumped net zero. One Nation leader, Pauline Hanson, joins me now. Pauline Hanson, has Susan Lee gone far enough?
No, look, Graham, I don't believe she has done, because under the Paris Agreement you have to bring down your emissions, and they haven't got net zero in it, but emissions must come down and before the end of the century. So I don't believe that they've gone far enough with this. She said they will bring down energy prices, but how are you going to do it? Unless you have a diversity of power, and you must wipe all these solar panels that are going on prime agricultural land, get rid of the wind turbines, you have to have a diversity of power. I'm all for solar panels, but let's put them on rooftops of houses, industries, manufacturing, industrial sites, keep more agricultural land. Don't need the wind turbines. They're costing us more damage to the environment than what we get out of them, having them going. And South Australia, you know, you only get about 18 to 30% of power from solar panels and wind turbines in any given day. So that's why you need gas, and your coal-fired power stations give us the diversity of power. And we know hydrogen does not work, will not work. It's not up to speed, and not for a long time to come yet.
Would you bow out of the Paris Agreement?
Most definitely. Have to. We need to take control of our own country. We need to have cheap power for the Australian people. That's why I'm advocating 2 new coal-fired power stations, one in not central Queensland, but North Queensland at Collinsville, and the other one in South Australia. Therefore, you can disperse the power to South Australia, which has the highest electricity charges in Australia, and also across to Victoria as well, and to New South Wales. So it's important to give that diversity of power. Look, we're chasing our tail here. We've shut down industries, manufacturing. In 2023, we lost 1,400 manufacturing industries that have shut down through insolvency. We've lost 30,000 small businesses, all due to the cost of running their businesses, which is power prices. The farming sector is in disarray now with transmission lines. It's going to cost us, under the Labor plan, $8 trillion to implement. So Susan Lee is saying we're getting rid of net zero. What's her plan then to bring down the power prices, is what she's saying. Then they've walked away from the coal-fired power stations, which we have to have the diversity of power. We've got the coal here. But I also tell the listeners, you know, if you're worried about an environment, what it's going to be like in 100 years' time, because they're worried about the temperature rising by 1 or 2 degrees, we've got more chance of having war hit the world with what's happening throughout the world. You've got nuclear bombs that have been made, which the destruction they're going to have, and you're worrying about a couple of temperatures, and yet we're destroying our economy. People living in poverty can't afford, put on the heating. We're losing industries, manufacturing, all going overseas. We're going to be a third world country. So what's all the pain and suffering for?
Now, you've suggested building new coal-fired power stations. What are your thoughts on nuclear?
All for it. It's in our policy plan. We've actually do believe in putting one in, possibly in New South Wales, and put in 1 reactor at the moment. I'd like to bring people on the journey with me. I'd like to understand whether people feel about this. And I think the majority of Australians, up to nearly 60% of Australians, agree now we need to look at nuclear. It's been utilised throughout the world in other countries. So we have had nuclear here in the country with Lucas Heights since the late 40s. So we can do it. If we're going to have nuclear subs, it only makes sense that we have to have a nuclear power plant if we're going to move forward. But in the interim, we need coal-fired power stations. Nuclear plants they're building in South Korea and other countries, they're looking about to build anywhere between $4 to $6.5 billion to build a small reactor for it. So it will give us that cheap diversity of power.
The situation currently facing Australia is we seem to be in this cleft stick where, there is inadequate power. It's not right. Coal-fired power stations are crumbling. They're not being restored. They're not being maintained. The federal government is pumping so much into subsidies for renewables, yet, the power is unreliable. Do you think, with what Susan Lee has said, she's obviously trying to capture some ground, but it doesn't appear that she has gone far enough to grab a body of people who don't believe in net zero at all?
Look, they're reacting to the rise of One Nation and support that we're receiving. We've actually set the agenda for the National Party and now the Liberal Party, and they're actually reacting to us because they're in fear of losing their voters, which they have been. And we've actually risen in the polls with a lot of membership coming across. They're fed up with the state of the economy and their standard of living, and they're rudderless. They really are. The Liberal Party and National Party are rudderless. You had half of the Liberal Party didn't want to get out of the net zero. So there's going to be tensions within them. How far is she going to go with the policies? I don't think she'll be able to do it. She's moderate herself. So they're grappling with holding on to the teal seats, trying to sit on the fence with those voters that may be able to pick up. But, you know, I look at things, what I think is the best interest for the country. If we do not rein in the cost of power, we're going to lose more industries, manufacturing, more jobs that are shutting down. Because coal-fired power stations shutting down, the maintenance hasn't been done, because government policy has set this agenda for the last nearly 3 decades. That's why there's been no interest in it. We've let it slide because people didn't want to, because government policies. If you had a government who's prepared then to go out there and put the money into maintenance of these power stations, some of them were supposed to be closing down by 2028, 2030. Actually, they've now have had to extend it because they know we can't deliver the power. So we're going to having brownouts and blackouts throughout the country, and it's going to get worse. Even gas, we are one of the richest gas countries in the world, but the fact now is that we've stopped the exploration and we're now exporting gas, but we're buying it back in. How stupid is that?
Yeah, that's a ludicrous situation.
Yep. Correct. And it's happening all the time. We have the resources, we have the coal, even they're shutting down the mining. The amount of money that the mining brings to this country gives us the finances to put into our infrastructure and hospitals and schools and roads. All this is crumbling. People need to have a look around our hospital system, our infrastructure. It's all crumbling. And not only with this net zero, mass migration. And I'll just tell you this, Graham, that this year in 2025, we have the highest intake of nearly 36,000 migrants coming to the country. That's the highest intake on record since September 2023, which was just slightly higher. They are not pulling back on mass migration. You don't hear anything from the Liberal Party about it. The Labor are just hell-bent on flooding the country with all these migrants that's adding to the problem.
Pauline Hanson, thanks so much for your time today. One Nation Senator for Queensland, Pauline Hanson. What are your thoughts? 8223 Now, we're going to speak to Dan Tehan, the Shadow Energy Minister, about the Liberal policy decision. We were going to speak with him earlier, but he just wasn't available, unfortunately. But we will speak to him shortly. This is what the Prime Minister had to say on the Liberals' decision on net zero.
The Coalition are choosing to take Australia backwards. They're walking away from jobs for Australians and investment certainty for business. That is so important.
That's the Prime Minister. What are your thoughts? 8223 is the number to ring. From the text line, after 35 plus years hearing about these so-called stress-free progressive parenting methods, the more I feel that they've actually set the last 2 generations of kids up to become vulnerable to the very stress and anxiety they try to shield the kids from. And the more confident I am that the old school style of parenting had it right all along. After 35 plus years of the progressives having their way, I think they've had their time. Thank you so much for that. If Susan Lee is serious about dumping net zero, they would announce pulling out of the Paris Accord. I'll be voting for One Nation. And John says, GG, the scammers had 3 goes at me last year. 1, they attempted $1,200 worth of stuff on my PayPal account. 2, while trying to download the Not So Easy Park app, inadvertently signed up to Fritz Jam streaming service in the Czech Republic. Gave access to scam Central Calcutta while trying to download drives for the Epsom website. Richard Pascoe saved the day. Good on you, John. Look, we have to be so scary. We're careful. The scammers are out there. They are very, very clever. Now that they have AI on their side, they can generate websites that look as good as the original. They can generate so many things that you can say. They can even generate people that you trust. Somebody that you trust saying, this is a wonderful investment idea. Go here, invest your money. Only to find out later on that it was all a scam. We have to be so careful. The immediate reaction to anything should be, I don't trust it. I'm not sure about it. I will go directly to the source. Never click on a link on the website, on social media, or something sent to you through the email. If you're not sure about it, totally go independently to the website of the business that's mentioned and say, is this a scam or is it for real?
5AA is inviting you into the studio every afternoon. Head to the 5AA live stream.
Live life your way with personalised disability support and aged care services.